Welcome to Telco Bridge's ProSBC TechTrain Module 210, covering billing interfaces with call detail record recording and radius accounting interfaces, a necessity for tracking usage and creating accurate bills for your customers. So listen on.
Okay. Next module is call detail records. So there's two modes of CDRs. One is a text, well, they call it text call, but it's actually like just flat files. And then radius accounting, which we saw some of it, but I'm adding stuff here to better understand the radius. Our radius is used more for accounting than for authorization. Okay. The text CDR, so it generates flat files of data. And you have three things that you can have, either a start entry, a stop entry, or some customers also add progress. So progress will be every X amount of time, we'll put another CDR entry for that call. Okay. For radius CDR, we will send radius accounting request for, again, start and stop. So if I start with text CDRs, they are stored locally on the file system. So these files also, if you do a database backup, will not be there, right? It's going to be on the file system itself. So you can go with SFTP and download those files directly. Or what you can do, and I will show later, is to send them out somewhere. Like all the logs in the system, CDR works the same as well. The call trace works the same. You always have configurable file rotation. So you have a default size of file that you will compress, and there's a default number of files that you can put in a file system before they get rotated. So your file rotation needs to be big enough so that you always get your CDRs. Right? So some customers push out the CDRs every 5 minutes, right? So we gather 5 minutes of data and then push them out. Right? So you don't lose more than 5 minutes of data for any type of failure. So you can extract them from the unit. So you can use SFTP to get those files, connect with the SSH port. Or you can push them outside. And then you have your parameters are all configurable. So you can put start time, you can put the leg ID, and then you have, I don't know how many parameters that you can add in the CDR. So there's a default template that is made, but you can add stuff in there and modify it so that you get exactly the output you want.
Is it in the CDR that you see the bursting or information?
Not precisely, but you can, with all the CDR, you can know. In that second, I had 30 calls instead of 25. Right? So you can.
You can separate it by NAP with the parameters.
Yeah. So you can you need to have the CDR files and do post processing on it. Right? So people do scripts to analyze these CDRs. Right? They can know how many calls on this NAP. They could know the codecs that were used for each of the calls. So you can do all kinds of script and extract the information and maybe just do a count of data, right? So this requires a bit of scripting to do that. I think we have some of those scripts that Lucas did a while ago, and but it's usually our customers that do that. We don't do that ourselves.
Do you recommend, or do you know of any good billing platforms that would integrate with this?
I guess, yes, as a company, but me, myself, I would not propose any billing system. There's many out there. They all have different capabilities, different functions, different performance, different prices. It's like, it's a whole world, and I've never tried to know that. So we can help you. Maybe Mark, maybe Sean, maybe someone else, but I don't want to get into that. I've got enough work. So you need to select use CDR. I don't know if it's there by default, but if not, you can just select it here. Then you need to choose the CDR mode. So we saw you can do text CDR or you can do radius CDR. You can do both at the same time, which is not so frequent, but you can do radius CDR with text fallback. So that's an interesting mode where you will send your radius information out, but if ever no radius servers are available, we'll dump the CDRs locally. So if you look inside the configuration of the system, you will see where these files are. Okay, CDR logs / CDR, and depends on the version you are in. So it's going to be in the version folder, but CDR logs. And then the format of the CDR. All right, so that's our default format. Maybe not the latest one, but it's one of the default. And it says, if you start with a arrobas, what is it? It's a at. If you start with an at, everything here is defined or filled in by the system. Right? So let's say you get at calling number, then the system will take the calling number and put it here. Anything that is not like comma nap equals, this will just be printed into the CDR. Right? So in this CDR, you will see a timestamp. Then you will see comma, BEG, comma, session ID equal. Then you will see the session ID. So 0x789783. And then comma, leg ID equals, and then another value. Okay. So you can modify this. You can change it to do whatever you want. These parameters here are described on the wiki. And you have a big list, right? So you can choose which one you want to put in your CDR. Only the ones you really need. For example, codec. I don't know if we see codec here. Oh, that's the begin, no. Only at the end. Oh yeah, we see protocol. No, protocol will be SIP. But we see in the end format. Well, this one doesn't have it. Yeah, this one doesn't have it. But you can see maybe it used G729 for this call. Right? So you can see that. Yes, there is.
Really? Because if you click on that link.
Oh, the link? Where link? Which link?
It text CDR help right beneath the parameters heading there.
Oh, you mean in the...
I'm in there now.
in the web... that's quite possible. So you're in CDR here, and you click on...
Text CDR. Yeah, so up.
It's up?
Right there.
Ah, this one here.
Yeah.
Where does it point to? Oh, 3.1 CDR. Ah, okay, it's like an automatic link that was created. Maybe if I do, whoops, 3.0 CDR. Like you see, I never tried this. That's lawful interception, okay. Well, yeah, it's not working. It points anywhere. But what I will do is I will do text CDR like this, right? That's how I will search for it. So configuration and variables. All right? So these are the variables that you have. So yeah, it helps, eh?
But it also explains how I have to use the wiki better. I've been trying to use the links, and most of them don't work. So so.
Yeah, okay. Links is like that. So you can try to search. If you can't find it, you can also try to do a Google search. Sometimes it's better than our own search in our wiki. And if you still can't find it, then you call support, and we'll tell you. We'll try to find it for you. Right? So you see all those. See media info. These are deprecated, so there's new attributes for that. Yeah, media IP, media port, media info. Okay, so they are there, it's just you have to find them. So by default, these are the default settings. So 1 hour, rotated and zipped. And then it's 10 gigabyte, really. I didn't know it was so big. 10 gigabyte of files that we can keep for CDR. So it's probably a pretty long time. To retrieve manually, you can connect SFTP, like I said. The directory that the files will be in is this one. Well, ideally you will erase the files that you have taken out. Otherwise, it's just going to pile up. But you can also keep them there. You can do an automatic text CDR retrieval. So just as we did earlier on with the TLS certificates, you can do a private key, and then you can pre-authorize, right, the SBC to send the file somewhere, and then you can use this script that's called TB copy CDR to send the CDR file somewhere. Right? So this is a little script that is on the system and that you can configure. So the things you will need to put in that file, so you can Vim or nano it, and then you put in there the remote IP, the remote directory where you want to push those files in, and you can say erase the CDR after it has been successfully pushed to the server. And then you just need to add the TB copy CDR as a cron job, and then you say how often you want to run it. This is every like 10 minutes, so you can change the cron job information to do that. TB copy CDR also has a little tests. You can do TB copy CDR -v, and you can test your connection if it's working before you use the real CDRs, and to see if your procedure that you have done here to create the keys are working. Of course, we have it on the wiki how to do this procedure, and it's pretty straightforward. Right? So you just run it. You just start it as a cron job. Every 10 minutes, it's gonna look at all the CDRs that were created, send them out to an external server. Optional.
Any objection to S3 command tools to do the same purpose?
To use which one?
S3 command
S.
tools. Amazon S3.
S3. I don't know this.
Okay.
My guess is probably not. You can do that. These are if you look at the TB copy CDR file, it's just a shell script, right? You can read it and see, oh, okay, look at this file, send it to this. I think it's a SCP that it uses to send the files. So I think
we just have a standard one that we use today.
if it works on CentOS, it's gonna work here.
Okay.
You can use that.
So if you don't activate CDR behavior, then the CDR records are not stored or saved?
No CDRs are created. No radius CDR, no local CDR. Okay, so other stuff, this probably I should have given before the other presentation. Right? But what we've seen now with the routing is authentication and authorization. So we use these functions of the radius server to get a route. Right? And for CDRs, we use accounting. All right? So accounting, we can send the CDRs with that particular function. Okay? So we are on this side, the NAS Radius client, that's the SBC, and the Radius server is a third-party application. And from our side, we can send an access request. So that's what was sent in the when we looked at the call routing, with a username password that are inserted into the message. You have a shared secret between the two, so that if you just look at this, you won't see the information here. But if you put your secret information in Wireshark, you'll be able to decode it, just like we saw with TLS yesterday. Then it can return access accept or access reject, and then it has information about what it accepted or what it rejected. So you can use that. For accounting, that's the one that we're looking at now, is an accounting request with a set of attributes. These attributes will be the calling number, the call number, and the ones we saw, right, in the text CDR. And the accounting response, in this case, it's not really important. It just says I've accepted the packet. It's always going to be yes, 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 yes. If we don't receive the response, then we fill up a queue of information to send the Radius server. And if this queue gets too big because the Radius server is not answering enough, we'll take it and drop it to a text CDR format. Yeah. If you use the option, right? Yeah. You need to have the parameter. So they're defined in two different specifications, accounting and authentication. So you can see that. So we're on this side, partner is on that side. So we talked about dictionaries before. There's some default dictionaries that are pre-installed on the system. So 2865 is the one for authentication. 2866 is the one for accounting. And then we use two other dictionaries. One is the Cisco one, which is used in these types of services. So we have some of those implemented. And we have our own dictionary, which is pre-installed on the SBCs. On the Radius servers, you will need to gift that dictionary to them. So you can either extract it from the SBC or from the wiki, and then you can give them this dictionary. Because here it has some information that is not available in other ones.
So
And
what are the first two again?
the first two are the specification for Radius accounting and Radius authentication. And you can see them here, right? 2865 has these predefined attributes. So username, NAS IP address. So it's really this name that you have in the dictionary. Called station ID, calling station ID, and we reuse those. For example, we map directly the call number to the called station ID. And then we use what other accounting status type. So it can be start, stop, or I think it can be progress as well. Session ID. Session ID, there's call leg and session ID. Okay, well, in the SBC, you always have two legs for one session. So the session ID will give you the reference for the full call. And if it tried many different routes, it's going to be all the same session ID for these multiple routes. So when you look at the CDRs later, you can figure out these errors.
The session ID is per call.
The session ID is per call. Yes. This one is the Cisco one. It didn't show here, but it's a Cisco one. So we use some of the parameters from the Cisco dictionary. And then these are others that we use from the Cisco dictionary, like the reason cause here. The SIP causes will appear in this particular dictionary. Whoops. Yeah, so we talked about this a little bit before. You can have more than one radius server configured. You can have some that are active, some that are current. That means that's the one we're sending to. So we can send to only one radius server at the same time. If it goes down, then we can send to the secondary radius server. Okay. So if you pre-program them in the system, it's going to be automatically done. What else is here? Yeah, okay, so that's the text CDR fallback. So if all of them go down, then it will fall back to a text CDR, okay, if you've enabled the option. Radius configuration, we saw that, right? So you can configure your radius servers in the system, and then the type, either authorization or accounting. Accounting is for the CDRs. Yeah, so we saw that also, accounting and authorization. Status, there's availability, so up, we got a response and it's good. Down, we already got the response, but now it doesn't respond anymore. And this one, we've never been able to reach it. So we don't know if it exists or what's the status. And then you have the current one, the one that's currently in use, active and inactive. So you can see the state here. How many requests were sent? And you can see also failures if there were some timeouts. So if you see you're getting to the limit, because there's some limits on those radius servers. If you start pushing a lot of data, sometimes they can't take it. So
where do you set the priority value so that if you have multiple servers?
it is, do I have the latest one? Where is it? Let me just look, maybe I can find it quickly. There should be a little authorization. Yeah, you're right. I don't remember what we supposed to do here. Yeah, maybe you cannot choose for some reason. Yeah, it looks like you cannot choose. It's going to choose by itself. You can't really put a priority. I don't know.
No?
Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure. You can also disable a radius server. See here, James, I got part of your answer.
Okay.
So you can deactivate one of the radius servers, inactive, or you can force it to become current. So it looks like maybe it's done automatically and we don't know, but you can change it here if you want. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just thinking of load balancing more than anything. Like you said,
We don't support load balancing.
for radius?
No,
No,
we don't.
okay.
Okay, that's fine. You can see if the radius server is running behind, if you have pending and queued records, and if this list grows, it's not so good. Okay. Radius, yeah. So we mentioned this also. Maybe you need to do a TCP dump. It depends where your radius packets are going out. I'll show you this later, a live Wireshark capture. Status and statistics, we saw that already. Okay, so let me show you something more on this.
Congratulations, you're now a billing wizard. Time to move on to Module 215 and learn more about the internal architecture of ProSBC by clicking in the box over here.